I'm going to explain to you guys my opinion on why I think Japanese is possibly the most difficult language in the world. And no, it's not because there are a lot of dialects in Japanese. No, it's not because of the kanji characters. No, it's not because of the pronunciation. Learning the words and learning how to construct grammar and all that stuff, learning the letters, that's just the beginning. That is the surface of Japanese. And what's interesting is that a lot of people, as soon as they start learning some few words, they just automatically think that they got it. They're like, okay, I'm starting to be able to construct a sentence, and yeah, like I'm good at this. Yeah, Japanese is not that difficult. Yo, no, totally wrong. And it is so difficult for me to explain why Japanese is difficult because these, how do you say, this concept that exists in Japanese doesn't exist in any other language that I've looked into. How do you say? How do you say this in English? This, yeah, okay, concept, I guess. And it's not just one thing that creates this. Okay, first of all, the language comes, how do you say? You're not speaking Japanese fully until you understand the culture fully. And what I mean by that is that you gotta understand that Japan is a country of humility. Or at least it kind of used to be. I don't know about now. Things are changing. Things are becoming westernized, and I don't know. But as far as I know, it is the country of humility. And this is a huge thing. Because in most parts of the world, I'm saying most, I'm not saying every part, being, let's say, standing up for yourself and speaking out your mind and just, it's about you, you know? It's about, well, let's just say, it's about me, you know? Like standing up for myself and saying what I think. That is the rest of the world in most places. But that is exactly the opposite of the Japanese mentality. It is not the me mentality. It is the we mentality in Japan. Maybe some other countries have that too, but it is very rare, especially in the Western countries. Is that, did I say that correctly? Like the Western countries? Yeah, okay. And this concept is very difficult for most people to grasp because it is the opposite of what they are taught. Like, people would just go, why would I have to be humble even about the things I don't want to be humble about? I think that's the part where a lot of foreigners will just, come across. Like, okay, I get humility, but if I have a problem with something, I would say it straight to his face or her face, right? That's the mentality of many countries, especially in the Western areas. Now, it's true. It does make sense. Yes, it actually does make sense. If you have a problem, you should say it, right? Because otherwise, how the fuck are you going to solve these problems? But it's not this simple in Japan. It's not. You have to, when you have a problem with something, you have to kind of go around and make the other person figure it out that you're having a problem. Because you don't want to hurt that person's feelings. So you kind of go around using kind words, but at the same time try to let that other person feel that, inconvenience that you're feeling. So, this is called reading the air in Japanese. It makes sense. You read the air. Like, you try to read what the other person is really trying to tell you. And this part, a lot of people won't get it. A lot of people can't get it if you are, just so strictly, stubbornly, if I have a problem, I say it. Boom! If it's like that, and you're not, how do you say, if you don't agree to make yourself a little more flexible and to blend in with the Japanese way, then this is going to be very impossible. Okay? And as a proof, a lot of people outside Japan will come up to me and say, yeah, like I love Japan, but people are so, they don't tell you like what they're really thinking, and they're just like they're like so shy or something. Like I don't understand what they want to say to me. Like when they have a problem, they don't tell it. They don't say it. Well, yeah, that's how it would look. But maybe in some situations, they were probably trying to kind of explain it to you by the Japanese way. But it's just that you didn't get the message because you're so used to the straightforward, if you hate something, hey, I think this is a problem, blah. But it's not simple like that. Yeah, you just gotta read the air. Yeah. So this is why it is so important to know which word or even which letter to use in a sentence when you're talking to another person. If you're from a foreign country, they're gonna cut you slack, of course, because you're from a foreign country. But if you're a Japanese person living in Japan, especially in companies and stuff, or when you're talking to your elder, or hell, your family, if your parents are strict or whatever, like a single letter that you misuse, or the wrong letter that you use, is gonna get you slapped in the face. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna slap in the face per se, but that's gonna start a conflict. And that is so difficult. Because one letter will just send you straight to hell, because that would sound like the rudest shit ever. And this part, people don't understand. Like a lot of people don't understand. People think, "Oh yeah, Japanese is so easy. I can have a conversation." Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but this is just, it's really difficult, especially when you're talking to a stranger, and even more so if the person is older than you. Okay, I'll give you an example. Some people are very sensitive as to which wording, like the choice of words that you use. Okay, so let's just say you're talking to someone who is older than you, who cares a lot about how you word your sentence. Let's just say this person asks you, okay, it's dinner time. I'm thinking of getting curry for us. What do you think? Okay? And then when you say, それがいい. それでいい. Okay, just remember these two sentences. These sentences both mean that's good, that sounds good, or something like that. It's not a literal translation, but in order for me to explain this, I need to put it in these sentences. There's two different ways of saying it. それがいい, それでいい. The difference is one letter. それでいい and それがいい. Now, this is obviously something that does not exist in many, many languages. Like, most languages don't have this differentiation. In English, that sounds good. Or that's cool. That's fine. It's the same thing, right? But if I break it down, それ means that. い means good. That, good. But what you sandwich, the letter that you sandwich, these two, this is what becomes important. それでいい. それがいい. Okay, それがいい is gonna technically sound like that is the choice. That is the correct choice. Yes, let's go with that. Let's eat curry because that is the best choice. If you say それでいい, that's gonna sound like Okay, fine. We'll just go with that, you know? Like it could sound like we have other choices, but fuck it. Let's just go with that. What the hell? And some people will get pissed. I'm just saying some people. A lot of people don't care, maybe, but some people who are very sensitive to word choicings will get pissed. It's like, what? それでいい? So you have a problem with my choice of curry? Like that's how it's gonna sound like. Like you make it sound like there's other choices, but you're just like reluctantly saying that is a good choice because just for the hell of it. And then you might get your ass kicked. So that kind of stuff. So that is only one small part of Japanese language that makes it difficult. And by the way, I don't want you guys to feel intimidated because get this. So many people in Japan, native, born and raised in Japan, a lot of people, especially youngsters, don't get this. A lot of people I think it's just getting worse as the generation goes down because people don't understand. And as a person who understands the difference, it's painful sometimes because if you don't know how to use these wordings differently, like you don't know the difference, then you kind of sound like a dumbass. Like you sound like dumbass. Like you're a impolite young piece of shit or something. It's not just the youngsters though. I mean, there are people in any age range that don't know. So I don't know. Is this informative to you guys? I'm just hoping that I'm giving you guys an insight to how difficult the Japanese language is. Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of sick and tired of people coming up to me and telling me that, oh, Japanese is an easy language. And every time someone tells me that, I just want to have a conversation with that person and see how much he or she understands. I mean, of course, there's going to be people who like, fucking mastered it perfectly. It's like, whoa, shit, your Japanese is better than me. That's impressive. Of course. But the chances are, I always ask myself, does that person even understand what it means to say that Japanese is an easy language? You know, like, ooh, shit. So it's not the kanji characters. It's just, I'm not going to say that's easy, but that's just, if you memorize it, it's there. Yes, as someone who studied Mandarin Chinese, my opinion is that Mandarin Chinese is kind of like a blend of Japanese and English. So it was easier for me to learn. And is it more difficult to learn Japanese? I feel like it is. Yeah. I mean, memorizing the Chinese characters is going to take longer. But as far as, as I said, like being careful to construct a sentence, this one is going to be difficult. Because I believe that Japanese has more, it's just got a lot of shit that you can add on. Like there's, I'm not going to say infinite numbers, but close to infinite number of possibilities in which you can construct a sentence. It's very difficult. Now let me get to the next part of, let me get into this a little bit. So Joe, how can you say that there's an infinite number of possibilities to construct one sentence? Well, let me start off by saying that when I talk to someone that, let's just say that I was talking to my friend originally in English because that person is from the States or something, right? And then he or she started learning Japanese, or maybe even stayed in Japan for a few years and went to school, can speak Japanese well now, and then now I'm talking to this person in Japanese. Now that is the moment I start to see the real personality of that person, or more so like the hidden personality of that person that I've never seen when I was speaking English with them. The reason is because Japanese, I feel like, is a language that can show a lot about you. Because the words that you choose will practically define who you are or what kind of person you are. You see, if you... it's difficult. It's difficult to explain. Let's just say, okay, let's give you guys some example. Let's take this sentence. それすごいですね. それ is that. すごい is that's impressive. ですね. ですね is what you say when you're talking about with someone older than you or your boss. So it's kind of like a respectful way to address something. それすごいですね. それすごいですね. Okay? Now, how would you say this? Oh, by the way, the sentence means, oh, that's impressive, or something like that. That's what it means. So how would you say this when you're talking to your friends? それすごいね. You can use this, guys or girls, it doesn't matter. You can say this. それすごいね. Now you can't use this to someone older than you or when you're in a situation you want to be respectful. それすごいね. If you want to be like one of those anime characters, a male character who just want to be like, I'm a badass, but at the same time you're gonna sound kind of stupid because you're gonna sound like you're lacking education or something. You can say, それすげえな. Maybe main characters of a lot of different animes or mangas say this a lot, right? それすげえな. Okay, you can say this if you're a guy and you're talking to your guy friends. それすげえな. Like you can say that. It's totally fine. Sometimes you can sound normal. Sometimes you sound like a dumbass and kind of lame. So you're gonna have to understand which situations you can say this. So that's another difficult part. It's not like you can use this to any of your friends. You kind of have to know when you're going to sound lame saying that. それすげえな. So that's the problem when you only watch anime and learn how to say things just by listening to the main character. Because it's so typical for a male main character of animes or mangas to talk like this in a very uneducated way. But that's what makes it cool in an anime, because you're kind of like the menace, like the bad kid or something, kind of a prankster. But in real life, if you do that, you're gonna sound like an idiot. So it's difficult. Not all the time, but yeah, like ore or ore, it means me. I in Japanese in this more guy-ish way. But anyway, so それすごいですね is the formal way. それすごいね is the casual normal way. それすげえな is the more of the, guy friends, sometimes sounding lame way. But you can also say like それすごいっすね. すごいっすね is a different way of saying すごいですね. You see how you eliminated the de in the すごいですね and you just say すごいっすね. You can use this when you're talking to like your senpai. By the way, senpai is someone who's older than you in school or something like that. So when you're talking to your senpai who you're sort of in good terms with, you can say すごいっすね. So it's in between the formal and a little more casual. It's still formal, but a casual formal. But at the same time, you could sound lame using this too. So already we have like what, 4 different ways of it. すごいですね. すごいね. すげえな. すごいっすね. And then you can also say すごいじゃん. This じゃん adds emphasis. Like すごいじゃん. Like it's a way to add emphasis sometimes. And this one, guys or girls both can use. Okay? And then let's not even get started on different dialects because that's a totally different thing. Yes, like if you go to different prefectures, they'll say these words in a different way. So, but I'm not going to include this because I'm just going to limit it to the more, how do you say, standard way. But sometimes people use the dialect way of saying this to make it funny, to make it sound funny. Okay? So even if you're from Tokyo, you can use maybe like the Fukuoka way of saying it to add character to what you're saying sometimes. Because people don't expect you to use that dialect because you're from Tokyo. But if you use a dialect from somewhere else, it might sound funny because it's totally, catches you off guard. It's like, whoa, haha. But sometimes it can make you sound lame too, depending on the situation, because like, why the fuck are you using a different dialect? So that's another reason why Japanese is difficult. See all these different selection of way to say one thing. And which one, the one that you choose will sort of define your personality. Like if you're a polite person, if you're a person who kind of is lame. And then that was just one part of how to choose what mode you're going to talk in. And then I think this is the number one thing that makes it so awkward when somebody who is just starting to learn Japanese come up to you and talk to you. Because the things that they teach in textbooks, first of all, most of these things are not used in daily conversations. It's not wrong, but at the same time, nobody talks like that. For example, this is very typical. Like, I am going to school. Like, I'm going to work or something like that. Okay, let's just say I'm going to school. I am going to school. Probably the textbook is going to teach you, 私は学校に行きます。私, me, formal way. 学校, school. に, to, 行きます, go. This is a formal way. But people don't really say this in this fashion. You, first of all, don't have to really say watashi in this situation. You could say it, but this is too formal. It's like textbook formal. It's so gut that people would know, oh, okay, this person is learning how to speak Japanese. And so then how would you say it, Joe? Like, what's the correct way to say this? Well, see, now once again, you have to think of all the possibilities, these selections. You have to. It's like a fucking palette of a paintbrush, you have to choose which color to use to create the sentence because, you can create all these different possibilities, and this is gonna define your personality as well. You can say, if you want to go formal, then you can say like, 学校に行ってきます。学校に行ってきます。See, 行きます is to go. 行ってきます means to go to, but 行ってきます is more like I'll go and then come back. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna come back. But it sounds more like colloquial Japanese. See, like this is very difficult. Like a lot of these things are hard to explain. Mm-hmm. 学校に行ってきます. But you can also delete the 学校に means, 学校, school, に to 行ってきます will go. You don't necessarily have to say に. You can say 学校行ってきます. You can make it shorter like that. But I feel like they won't teach that in most of the textbooks because that's going to be technically be wrong. But it sounds totally normal when you're speaking. So, 学校行ってきます. 学校行ってきます. But you can also add something in the beginning that's going to add more personality. ちょっと学校行ってきます. ちょっと means a little. It doesn't really mean that you're like literally going to school a little bit for a little bit amount of time. It's more so this sense of, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go to school. That kind of thing. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna, right? It doesn't really mean anything, but it's just in the beginning of the sentence. Oh, I think I'm just gonna kind of feel. ちょっと学校行ってきます. Or, you can also add something in the end, like, ちょっと学校行ってきますね. This ne is a difficult thing to explain too. See, all these shit that you add in front or in the middle of or the end, like there's just fucking millions of possibilities that you can choose from. And each of these letters or words will define your personality. And it's going to sound a little different from each other. There is a difference. You know, people will just hear them as a different thing. But it's ultimately trying to say the same thing. There are more things. But what I really had problem with is it's the most dangerous thing when you, well, first of all, if you're not an asshole, it's gonna be fine. But it just seems like I've just run into a few fucking assholes who just happen to be fond of, I don't know, the Japanese language for some reason. I don't know. But these assholes are actually pretty good at speaking Japanese. But they're fundamentally assholes, so they're gonna misunderstand things. They think that going to a school in Japan for a few years, you know, to a good university, whatever, and then they have this pride, you know, as a human being, they're assholes, and their pride is huge as fuck. And so when they get pissed about something, they start to say something mean in perfect Japanese and then just turn into like an asshole. But how dare they? Because that's not really the Japanese humble way, right? So the worst thing is when someone learns how to speak Japanese so well, but at the same time doesn't have that Japanese heart. So it just sounds like a fucking asshole with no education who's just a piece of shit just saying shit to you. And I just had a lot of these experiences, so I just really hope that you guys don't turn into this if you are going to learn Japanese. I'm not worried about it because you guys are cool, but it's somehow traumatic. You know, I gotta be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have this 50-50 feeling when someone says they're learning Japanese. I'm happy that they're embracing the culture, but at the same time, are you gonna turn into a fucking asshole like those people I had to work with in the past? I don't want this to be like a formula, you know, because it was so common to see those people. So that's why I'm saying you gotta understand the culture and the humility, and this is the most important part of speaking Japanese. It's not even like the language itself. It's about understanding to be a fucking like humble person. Like I've seen another instance on Facebook the other day when my friend who speaks Japanese quite well commented on something. And it sounded really negative because, I mean, in English you can reject something pretty easily. It's like, oh yeah, like, okay, let's just say that someone's telling this person who is learning Japanese, hey, I don't know, John, what's up? You're in Japan, that's cool. Maybe you should go to this place. You know, it's my hometown or something. And then the other, you know, the John's like, very Western. So he's like, nah, it's alright. I think I'm gonna pass. If you say that in Japanese, you're gonna be a fucking asshole. You have to come up with a how do you say, some sort of a soft excuse, or just say yes. You know, like sometimes or many times in Japanese, you say yes, maybe kind of stuff, even if you're not gonna go there. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe if I have a chance, I'll go. But in your mind, you know you're not gonna go there. But you gotta say that to not be a fucking asshole. So that's kind of the way that you have to work using Japanese.